Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about The Bourne Identity. It came out in 2002. I think I was a sophomore in college by that time. So in that time in the early 2000s, that was a really interesting time in movies. We were coming off the whole teen slasher craze, teen comedy romance movies. The Matrix was still around during that time. Movie spoofs were starting to come back. And this was a time we were starting to get into the James Bond, Daniel Craig movies around 2004. Also, the Saw movies were just about to come out. So it was very rare to see like a spy movie around this time. Also, a lot of more horror movies were coming out during this time. And so, because of things like The Matrix that made like gunslinging very popular, spy movies slowly started to come into frame. And also a lot more like gunslinging and like horror movies such as like Blade and the Underworld movies of people reloading and cocking and stuff like that. And so action movies and spy movies and stuff like that was just starting to pop back into like the frame of the media audience and stuff. And Matt Damon, of course, plays Jason Bourne. Now, Matt Damon around that time was still rarely unknown. Him and Ben Affleck were trying to make names for themselves in the movie industry with Good Will Hunting. I think it's a movie they wrote and produced themselves, I believe. And so it was around that time because people really weren't casting them in anything. So they figure if they're going to be in movies, they're going to have to put their foot forward and do it themselves. Very noble, but both men end up stumbling and putting their foots in their mouths later on down in their careers. And so I knocked my camera over. And so like we're doing things like Dogma and like, Good Will Hunting and stuff. Studios started to pick up on like the popularity of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. And so Matt Damon was cast in this role. Now I can't really say her name. I think it's Franca Potier. She plays Maria Creutz or something like that. She plays an accomplice to that of Jason Bourne in this movie. And so this movie has a huge star-studded cast, which in Hollywood is normally a disaster, but this turned out to be good and beneficial for this movie. This movie is really good. It's a really fun, simple spy type drama. A nice little action movie. However, I remember saying this back in the day, and I'm still saying this now, even though I rewatched it again. Matt Damon was very green in this movie. Like, I remember when I saw the trailer for this, I'm just like, who taught this dude how to fight? Because he was very sloppy in his action choreography in the first movie. His acting, I will give his acting a pass in the first movie because Jason Bourne suffers from amnesia. Therefore, he's not really sure what's going on. However, all of his co-stars in the entire movie outshine him in the acting business and stuff in this movie because they've been around for a long time, and like I said before, he was still just very new, very green, very much a rookie. However, with the next installments, his acting got so much better. He started to focus more on his acting. He started to focus more on the action choreography. They got in a better director to start directing this because nothing against Doug Lemon, nothing against him. But the first movie action scenes, the gun scenes, and the car chases weren't that great. However, like I said before, this was the early 2000s, so I can give it a pass. But once things like the Daniel Craig James Bond movies started to come into fruition, then they needed to step up their game, and step up their game they did with the second and the third movie. The third, in my opinion, is the best of the original trilogy. But then, of course, when you get to the fourth movie, Matt Damon did not want to come back because a different director came in. So then that movie, not really sure how it did. I've never seen that. I can't find it on HBO Max. In fact, only the first two are actually on HBO Max. And so, like, I guess that movie didn't do so well. So then they came out with the Jason Bourne movie around 2012, I believe, about 10 years after the first movie came out. That movie had like a mixed reception because, in my opinion, it should have ended with the third. The third ended things perfectly and stuff like that. But of course, after the original trilogy of the books that were created by Robert Ludlum, I think his name is, he decided to write more books and stuff. But with Matt Damon not coming back, that was kind of like a piss in the eye of the fans who really love seeing him in these movies. And then, of course, when that didn't do so well, and then Matt Damon's movie career started to tank after a while. A lot of his movies that should have been good was lackluster. So, of course, what happened? He came crawling on back to the Bourne Identity movies. And so, Jason Bourne movie didn't do so well in terms of like reception and stuff. And there hasn't been a Bourne movie since. And he's even stated that he thinks people are probably over the whole Jason Bourne movies and done with them. And to some degree, I say yes and no. There is still an audience that want Jason Bourne movies. I still want Jason Bourne. However, I think it'll do better in a television streaming show where they can do episodic stuff and really tell a fleshed out story, because there are multiple books now instead of the original trilogy. However, yeah, I think there are some people who are just kind of done with Jason Bourne because, hey, we got John Wick now, you know what I'm saying? And John Wick has really stepped up the game. Now, like I said before, the action, the gunslinging, and that of the car chases, compared to today's standard, it is outdated. It is very outdated and stuff. Since then, choreographers have really stepped up their game. I remember there was a show I used to watch back in the 90s called Acapulco Heat. And as a kid, I loved that show. Then as an adult, I bought it on DVD and I realized something. I don't love it as much as I did when I was a kid. See, back in the 90s, there weren't that many espionage, like hand-to-hand combat, spy type stuff on television, so it was acceptable back then. Now in today's times, they have upped their game in terms of action choreography, which is something that television show did not have a good thing of. It was a extremely low budget syndicated show. And compared to today's stuff, I just can't enjoy it as much as I used to back in the day. And so one day I need to talk about Acapulco Heat. I really do. It was on YouTube. Somebody uploaded, but then the YouTube police took them down. And so now I gotta rely on memory, which I don't mind, because when I started my thing, I relied on memory a lot. But sometimes I like to get my bearings. But hey, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do in the episodes that you recorded. And so with the Jason Bourne movies, one thing that I really enjoyed about these movies, or at least that in the first one, because I'm talking about the first one, is that it has a very simple plot that you can follow. It's not overly complex. But of course, as time passes, it starts to improve and stuff, which, you have to get a little bit more complicated in. It was just a nice, simple spy movie of a man who has amnesia and trying to piece together of who the heck he is while being that of a United States super weapon and stuff. It's really fascinating to see this ordinary guy, and he's just an ordinary dude. He looks like he could be in college or something. And then all of a sudden, his life is turned upside down with 2 bullet holes in his back, and he's able to put a read on anything and everything around him. He has a photographic memory. He's skilled in hand-to-hand combat. He's skilled in gun handling. He is really endurable. His hand-to-hand combat skills, well, not in this movie, but in other movies, it can't be matched and stuff. He is able to tell, if a person has health problems just by looking at them. He can tell how many people in the room just by counting them really fast. and he can do all kind of amazing stuff like that. And it was just really fascinating because people love superhuman type stuff, and it was rare to see a guy in this role because I remember back in the day, there was a show called Dark Angel with Jessica Alba, and she was a superhuman who was enhanced with animal DNA, and she was like the most like lethal human there was, you know. And then there was the Chameleon movies where another genetically enhanced woman was a super soldier and stuff. So normally you always saw like, and then there's the beyond bionic woman. So you always see like the females do those type of roles, but it's really rare to see like a male. And so like, you know, it was just fascinating because as he's trying to piece together his life, we, the audience, are also trying to piece together it as well. And so that's what's really appealing about these movies. And so basically, it just starts off really with just this guy found out at sea. He has two holes in his back. And, you know, these like fishermen rescue him. He's in a completely different country, but he's an American. Then when he's on land, you know, you can tell he's not ordinary. He's something about him is different. Well, you know, as he's trying to figure out who he is, one lead goes to another, and he finds out he has multiple passports with different names and hairstyles and this and that. Like, who is he? And then, of course, when he starts researching into himself, then his organization realizes he is still alive. So now they put out a hit on him, and so like he meets this one woman named Maria and stuff like that. She's at the U.S. Embassy. And when things aren't really going the way he thinks they are, because they're going kind of weird, he knows he needs to get up out of there and get back to the States. And then when he realizes one of his like storage units has tons of money, passports, and guns, he realizes that, you know, he is more special than he thinks, and there's something to him. So he hires her just to drive him around town. And she's just an ordinary woman. She's not a spy. She's not a grifter. She's not like, she's nothing. She's just a regular old person. But of course, his organization is on to him, and they got photos of both of them and stuff. And so they send an assassin to go get him. And the assassins even like, you know, color her hair differently in the photograph to see, you know, what she might look like in a different style. So they have to go on the run and everything, and in hiding. He has to chop her hair off, but he doesn't change his hairstyle for some bizarre reason, but he changes hers. And so when their hotel gets made and they get found out, they now have to like go to her half brother's place, which they're putting his family in danger. Well, you know, Clive, what's his name? Clive something. Clive Owen, he is the assassin. And so he's been sent and he finds them, he tracks them down. Jason, like, you know, takes him out with ease and everything as the family gets away. After all that, you know, he sets up an arrangement with that of the head of the department to find out what the heck is going on and who he is. Well, it turns out that he was sent on a mission to take this one man out. And as he was on a boat, so as he was about to like plug him and everything, he saw this man had his family with him, a bunch of kids. So that made him not want to complete his mission. As he tried to escape, this guy put 2 bullet wounds in his back, and that was caused like the amnesia and stuff. And as he's talking, I remember when he was talking to the other assassin, the assassin was all like, you get headaches and this and that, because his memories are starting to flash back. He is literally like the handler says, you're like a couple of $100 million of an experiment and everything. He is designed to be the way he is. And so he tells them plain and simple, like the girls did, and to leave him alone and no longer come after him. But of course, they're going to do it anyway. And so because, like, you know, the dude in charge is not handling this the best way and was sloppy and all this other stuff, though, they hired an assassin to take him out and everything. And the dumbest mistake Jason made was at the end of the movie, time has passed by. That woman's hair has grown back and she's living in a different country. He goes and he finds her because they like each other now. Putting her life back in danger was the worst thing ever because his organization is still hunting him down. And we will see what happened as the results in that of the second movie. But like I said before, this was a really cool movie. It still somewhat holds up today. It's just I wish the choreography for all the action type stuff would have been better. And it would still be great to see Matt Damon come back as this role, but as that 2012 movie showed, that people really just aren't into those movies no more. Plus, of course, Matt Damon put his foot in his mouth when he talked smack about diversity in Hollywood, even going as far as interrupting a black director just to give his stupid 2 cents on the topic and everything. And just like any celebrity who is afraid they can't piss out money no more, he made his fake celebrity apology later on, but it's still coming back to bite him in the butt even till this day. And the worst thing of all is that his movies aren't doing so well. And it's like, why, dude? You came so far in Hollywood. You literally had to make a movie on your own to show people you can do what you can do. And then you open your stupid mouth and mess up your career to where now you're just making cameos in MCU movies. Why are people so stupid and prejudiced? I have no idea why. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.